So it turned out that we're attempting to start at 1 o'clock, and we
Uh-huh.
had some horrific storms here yesterday. A lot of power outages. I think some people are still without power, and the power came back on here. We came in, but it turned out that the computers all needed updating, which took some uh, took some time. So it took us a little bit to get that all settled, but here we are. We did. How are you doing, Alexander?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Pretty good. What's
Yeah.
new?
What's new? Uh, Not too much.
Not too much.
I'm laxing on my workout,
Relaxing on your
on
workout.
my fitness regimen, so that's
Yeah.
not so good. But I'll get it there.
So the
I don't know. That was the most relevant thing I could think of.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I
So
say
there's
yeah.
that.
Anyway,
Yeah.
the so we got nobody. I did not receive one image to of anything to talk about today. So that's probably mostly on me for not putting out any updates, not asking people for stuff, so on and so forth.
Oh, you didn't
Um,
ask anybody.
I didn't.
Oh,
Well,
that might be part of the problem.
yeah, you think?
Maybe it's just a thought.
So, so I'll do better with that next week. So I thought that we would I spend most of my time helping people who they're either downsizing or someone has passed away and they have a house full of things that they're trying to figure out what to do with, to sell, to donate, to settle in the way that's of the most benefit to their family. So most of my time is talking with people on the phone, looking at images, meeting with people on site, and helping them figure all of that out. So I thought I would do a segment today about that, just kind of some of the things to keep in mind as if you're in that situation. The and I also uploaded pictures. I have images of two different larger estates that I helped with that had some unique points. So I thought I'd kind of talk you through each of those estates and how we handled it, and some of the issues that came up. If you're listening and you have any questions, just message them in, and happy to answer anything as we're going. So the first thing I want to go over, and this is it may seem unrelated, but it really isn't. Uh, or you may all be much smarter than I'm assuming. And anyway, this is an old story, one of my favorite local stories. So this is a little bowl that true story, 2007. Somebody went to an estate sale in Voorheesville, just south of Albany, and bought this bowl for $3. It's about 5 inches across, so maybe 2.5 inches high, just a little thing. And he brought it home. He put it up on his mantle. It sat up there for at least 2 years. One day, somebody came in and they said, that looks like that could be something, and you should get it checked out. So the guy got it checked out, and not long thereafter, it sold in Sotheby's in London. Whoops, where are they? Uh-oh.
What do you do, man?
Oh, I don't know. I'm like,
Here, here, here. There we go.
there we go. Ooh, sorry about that. Little sold at Sotheby's in London for $2.3 million. So, wow. So that's a great story. I've been the local underwriter for Antiques Roadshow since their first season, 1997. It's a great show. Everybody always. Oh well, this bowl. The turns out it was made during the Song Dynasty, about 800 A.D., and it was a very special type of porcelain that was made at the imperial kilns for the Emperor of China. So there's one other example known in the British Museum, and anyway, it was brought a handsome price and a fun story. And so I've been involved with Antiques Roadshow as an underwriter since 1997, and it's a great show, very entertaining. It's always fun to see the wonderful and amazing things people have up in their attics or basements or that have been passed down through them. And it's everybody loves the elderly woman who went to an estate sale. She purchased a table for $40. The Keno brothers appraise it for $250,000. She goes with them and it sells for $400,000 at auction, and everybody's happy. I always think of, well, what about the poor, the poor dear soul who's watching the show that sold the table for $40 to begin with? So nobody wants to be that person, right? So nobody wants to be the whoever it was in Voorheesville that sold this little bowl for $3. The lesson here is to get your things checked out. Do whatever you can to know what you have before you sell them. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Okay. So you have a house full of stuff to get rid of. Yikes! What do you do? Just know that it's overwhelming for everyone. I take a deep breath. I know myself when my grandparents moved back up from Florida and lived in an apartment at the Embry Apartments here in Saratoga, part of the Wesley, development over on the west side of Saratoga Springs. My grandmother passed away, and then my grandfather passed away, several months later. And all of my family was up, my aunts and uncles were up in the apartment sorting through the stuff. And I said, well, I really should go help them. I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. And, I walked into that house and that apartment, and for me, the feelings were overwhelming, and I was unable to do anything. It just, it was overwhelming for me in that context, in the context of two people that I loved more than, as much as anybody in my life. And they were gone, and, all of that. So, it's difficult. I understand that it's difficult, and I've helped thousands of families over the last 30 years try and navigate this process. So take a deep breath, take it easy on yourself, and know that it's possible to handle it, and there's lots of help out there. It's important that you have kind of a framework for what to do, and as I showed with the little Chinese bowl, first thing that you want to do when you have a big batch of stuff to get rid of is to determine what you have. You don't want to be on Antiques Roadshow in the wrong way. You have to find somebody to work with that's going to help you. You want to find somebody that you are comfortable with. People always ask me, I've done lots of appraisal days and antiques events for people over the years, the local AARP, the Clifton Park Half Moon Library, the Malta Community Center, the New York State Museum, the Hyde Collection. I've done them for done presentations for lots of different places. I always get asked, well, how do I know if I can trust somebody? How do I know who I should work with? My feeling is much of the time, within the first 10 or 15 seconds of talking with somebody, you can get a sense whether it's somebody that you want to do business with or not. You don't want to do business with somebody that you're incompatible with. You don't want to do business with somebody that doesn't seem accommodating, attentive to your needs, and is professional. So a lot of times I think the first thing is to go with your gut. If something makes you uncomfortable, that might be a red flag. So find somebody that you're comfortable with. It's good to now we have the internet, which even 10 or 15 years ago it was much spottier in terms of doing research about different businesses to do business with. So you can research online today. Personal referrals are always great if you have friends, families, you're the family lawyer. Anybody at a realtor's office, get referrals. Find out what. There's no substitute for somebody saying to you, "Oh yeah, I dealt with this, that, or the other person. They were really great, and I was very happy with them." So that's golden. And also online reviews. Those are very good to look at. One of the things that you want to be careful of is a lot of times people don't leave reviews one way or the other, and unless their experience was really uh, big, really had some big impact for them, and that can cut both ways. That can be a really exceptional experience, or what was in their minds a very negative experience. So sometimes with online reviews, you can get a higher percentage of negative ones. I like to look at how people respond to the negative reviews. Even, things happen, misunderstandings happen. I like to see how businesses follow up if people really have not so good a time. It's a good indication of the quality of people that you're dealing with, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think with the online reviews, the first thing I think of is, I think actually people, it's not just like a big experience, but usually a bad experience. Because who's going to take the time to write a review? Just speaking for myself, I
Hmm.
rarely write reviews, so sometimes it can be biased towards the negative.
Sure.
So maybe get another feeler,
Hmm.
talk to them or something like that.
Yeah, sure. Good
Word of
point.
mouth, word
That's
of
my.
mouth is good.
Yep. And also, talking to people on the phone. You don't have to go meet with them. Just call them up. See how they answer the phone. I don't want to say how quickly they answer. With this shutdown and being understaffed, I have not been very good. I will confess to. Well, we're closed, so uh, and I haven't been checking the messages a lot, so we're a little bit slow. So, but talk to the people, get a sense, ask them questions, get a sense of who they are and what they're like, and shoot them some emails if you're comfortable doing that. Just kind of get a feel for their quality of communication. That's a great indicator. You can make a decision to meet in person when you are ready. Don't. I wouldn't rush into this. I know sometimes time is of the essence. You have to get the apartment emptied by the end of the week or the end of the month. So you do have the clock is ticking. But do what you can to be comfortable first before you actually meet in person with somebody. The when you are ready, when you meet with them, when after once you've decided, okay, this is the person to help them, let them do their job. Keep in mind, I used to I when I was younger in particular, I could kind of like second guess professionals that I was hiring to do stuff for me, and I learned over time that the good people know what they're doing, and they, in general, I have learned to follow their lead. It's important to ask questions, and ask questions as soon as you have them. Where I've seen people get into difficult situations is when something comes up and they want to ask about it, but they don't, and they let it go, and it actually was an indicator of a big problem, or something that maybe not like somebody being dishonest or trying to get away with something, but somebody doing something in a way that uh, their client didn't want them to do it that way, or wouldn't want them to do it that way, and because they didn't ask the right question when they first thought of it, it was much more difficult to change tax. So as soon as you have a question, ask. Anybody professional is going to be very happy to answer all your questions and to do the job the way you would like them to, because after all, you're the one that hired them and is paying them essentially, even though you're having them do something for you. So, anything I missed?
It sounded good to me.
Sound good to you? Okay.
Okay.
So, I thought that I would go over a couple of estates that I did, just to give you an idea of the kind of the process and how things can look. So in 2017, I got a call, and the husband and wife that had a beautiful big house on here in Saratoga had passed away, and I was the son, who was a lawyer, had done a lot of research online and called a lot of people, done a lot of research, and decided that he wanted me to handle the whole thing. So I was flattered, and made an appointment to go and take a look. It was a big giant house here in Saratoga, and it was on a big piece of property. It had 3 outbuildings, and the place was stuffed. There were tens of thousands, I'd like to say 1 million objects, but there were so many objects. It was a very big deal. The first thing I do when I meet with somebody is I get an idea of, I try and get an idea of their preferences and timeline, what their goals are, how precisely they want me to help. And in this case, they were going to sell the property, and they needed the contents sold and the house emptied out. So, and it had a lot. So here's the beautiful living room. Very nice. Here's a den or study. Here's part of the kitchen. Here's upstairs, a nice bedroom. There were 4 or 5 bedrooms upstairs. Here's down in the basement. The husband was a collector, and the wife was an artist, and they had lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff. This was part of the husband's collections downstairs. Another little study in the basement. He loved tools. This is just one corner of the workshop that was on the back of the house off of the garage. Incredible collection of antique tools. Just in the workshop, there was probably, there were thousands of objects. This is one of the outbuildings, a carriage house that had a sitting room off to the side with a nice apartment upstairs. This, some of the stuff in the garage. So, the first thing I did, I met with them, got an idea of what the timeline was. And in this case, we wound up, usually what I'll do is I try and, in the context of what someone's preferences are, I help them make a plan for what's the best way to get everything taken care of for the best return for the estate. Where there are things that I can help with that I don't believe they'll do better with in another manner, I will try and help them with that. I also, anything that's high value that should sell through one of the major auction houses, I can take care of that for them. Anything that I can't help them with, I know everybody in all aspects of estate sale running and estate liquidation and clean outs in the area, and I give them reliable referrals to people that'll help. So my goal is to get them to the point where they have a plan and it's all figured out, and they're done. And again, anything that I can help with, I do. And anything I can't help them with, I give them reliable referrals to. So that worked out well. We had a 3-day sale. That brought in 3 times as much money than we thought it would. The family was very, very happy with how it went. It was a big job. I think for the estate sale, we had between 20 and 25 people working that estate sale. It was a big, big job, and it took 2 months of full-time work to get it ready. It was something, but it was a lot of fun too. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed just like that. It was kind of fun doing the marketing, doing the advertising, and kind of running a big fun sale like that with big crowds every day. It was awesome. So so the next situation I had was, anybody asking any questions? No, no questions yet. Okay, that's fine. Next section I had. So this is a part of the collection. This is a small part of the basement of a little house way up in the North Country. No cell service. In the middle of nowhere. A very nice couple who had a big business down in the metropolitan area. The husband was a collector of Western and American Indian memorabilia and militaria, Civil War, Spanish American War, World War One, and his whole collection was down in the basement of their house, and the place was packed. Though it had been some period of years since he had passed away, and it took that long. And this is a common thing. It took that period of time for his spouse to be ready to be comfortable with selling the items. And again, she called me. I met with them, and this was a different thing because of the location and the remoteness of the place and the specialty kind of nature of what they had. It was a different kind of animal. Though we couldn't really do a. Let me just show you some of the stuff. I mean, it just went on and on and on. A lot of firearms. So much stuff, so much stuff. Badges. It was just unbelievable. Um, I mean, it was so densely packed. So we met with her and we figured out an approach. We were able to sort the things into about I think 3 different venues, styles of venues that we could sell for the family through, and we packed up and transported the stuff. We made at least 4 or 5 different trips, and it was a big job, but not as much. We didn't have to price and catalog every single object in the same way. It wasn't like doing an on-site estate sale. But interesting, and we did very well. The family was very happy with the results that we got for them. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the drive. It was about an hour and a half, solid hour and a half drive up until to the deeps of the Adirondacks, which was beautiful each time. And we'd have lunch at the local little diner where everybody knew everybody else by first name, and it was nice to have that kind of window into North Country culture. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that, and the family again was also very, very happy. The so Again, to kind of recap, again, anything else I missed? What do you think? When are we opening back up?
it looks like they keep extending it, so maybe next month.
Yeah, that'd be good. We have yeah, it's frustrating, but what are you gonna do? It's better to, I think, to be safe than to risk, getting sick or getting other people sick. So,
Georgia's doing all right.
hmm?
They opened up.
Who?
Georgia.
Oh, Georgia's doing okay. Good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I missed that. So to recap, if you have a house full of stuff to get rid of, it's know that it's overwhelming. It's not just you. Take a deep breath. Do your best to determine what you have. You don't want to be on Antiques Roadshow in the wrong way. Find someone that you are comfortable with. Research online to find people to help, get referrals, look at reviews, talk on the phone or email first, meet in person when you are ready. And when ready, and when you make the decision to go with someone, let them do their job, but ask questions as soon as you have them. It's a little bit of a shorter time today. I'll do a little bit better in terms of reminding people to send in images for the next time. It's Memorial Day next weekend, so we're going to focus on military related collectibles. Talk a little bit about all that, whether it's what's the proper name for the Revolutionary War? They don't call it that anymore. The American War of Independence.
That's the Revolutionary War.
No, there's another
I
another
think they call
academic
it
term.
the American War of Independence.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
that's
Okay,
right.
cool.
But it's the Revolutionary War.
So the very rare the memorabilia from that war. We do see a lot of Civil War related memorabilia, Spanish American War related memorabilia, and of course World War One and World War Two. But we'll give a nod to the veterans who have sacrificed for our freedoms, and look at some of the interesting collectible objects and historic objects that are related to those wars and those sacrifices. So thank you very much for tuning in. If you have anything that particularly military or war related that you'd like us to talk about on next Sunday, send it in. And it's been great to see you. It was wonderful. Yesterday was such a beautiful day out. It was so nice, finally. Boy, and hopefully I'm keeping my fingers crossed that will maybe help knock this virus down a little bit. So hoping for the best, and thanks so much. Feel free to call or email anytime. I'm always happy to help, and it's been great to meet with you today. Have a great rest of your Sunday.